Jerk-offs, welcome to the Union Jack-Off. Back in the studio. We're going to keep it in the studio from now on with Mooch, my beautiful producer, over there in the corner. He's just checking the levels. He's not being charismatic yet. There you go. But I got two great guests for you. I have Australia's Tom Ballard.
Hello.
And the UK Sean McLoughlin.
Hey, everyone.
There we go. And guys, we're in.
We're
started.
in.
This is it. The podcast is on. Look at you putting energy in.
Woo!
Immediately.
Now, are the listeners jerk-offs or jack-offs?
Jerk-offs.
Okay, they're jerk-offs.
Should they be jack-offs? I've never
That would make sense.
Really? I thought it was like, because you don't call someone a jack-off, do you? You don't do that.
I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know?
Oh, yeah.
You've never insulted anyone?
No.
Okay. Because American, like a jerk-off is like, that's like a thing. Like, fucking jerk-off.
Sure. But the
like
name of the show is the Union Jack-Off.
Yeah, I mean, but calling it the Union Jerk-Off ruins the pun.
Yeah, don't change the name of the show.
There's a lot of issues with the show. Because, like, I am vigilantly anti-pun, and my podcast is a pun. Like, it's an issue that I didn't think through, but I thought it was snappy. I thought it was a snappy title.
Call them What the Fuckers. That'll be good.
What the Fuckers?
Yeah.
That's your idea for the podcast.
That's Mark Barrett's name for them. His listeners.
He calls them What the Fuckers?
Yeah.
Really? Oh.
Brilliant.
Strong start.
Have you never listened to that?
I've listened to it, but like I forgot.
I would love it if you had a podcast and you'd never even heard of Mark Maron. Who?
That'd be like the most hipster shit of all time. Just like, what, Mark Maron has a podcast?
Yeah.
Other people are doing this, man? Like, honestly, I just wanted people to speak. I just wanted to speak to other comedians and learn from them. But you're an Australian man currently living in the UK? Are you living here? I don't know, this is hot. This is hot off the press.
I'm here and I'm alive. And
Yes.
I'm here until the end of September. I have a 2-year working visa to the UK. And the dream is to eventually move to this wonderful country.
Yeah.
But it might take a little bit of time. Yeah.
A little bit of time. But tier 5 on the visa?
Tier 5, baby.
Tier 5 hero?
Yep.
Yes. We do not reciprocate that with them, as you'd know.
No.
They don't.
What is tier 5?
That is, well, I got denied on my first attempt at a tier 5.
Really?
This is, the visa that nobody doesn't get. This cunt just fucked it. Like I called them up and I'm like, I got declined, and they were like, really? Like even the visa office was confused. And basically a tier 5 is a 2-year working visa that is given to Australians, Canadians, Taiwanese, who else? Japanese. Like, because I thought it was a Commonwealth thing. I thought it was like, hey, from the Commonwealth, come over, have 2 years. No, it's purely like an economic thing.
Yeah.
Like if you're.
Is that the one if you're under? Is it you're under 30?
Under 31.
Yep.
Yeah.
Up to 31.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, and you get 2 years, just kind of like no questions asked, as long as you've got enough money in your bank account to like leave the country.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the only thing they care about. Whereas with British people come to Australia, they have to work in a farm.
I have to go food picking, and it's really very stringent for a couple of months or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like I think it's like 60 days or something.
And you don't choose where you go.
And you
You're
have
just
to be
sent to these remote areas of the country in the burning sun with your fragile British skin.
Yeah.
And if you're my friend Daniel, who's quite a camp gay man, you're told to tone it down. The days that you're over there. Pick that fruit like a man.
Can you imagine?
It's fucking brutal.
Dude, you're picking that fruit pretty gay. Like, can you just bring it down? Like,
it's just wild. The restrictions, the honour that we think it is to come to Australia, the hoops that you must jump through in order to hang around is pretty incredible.
but like, I do kind of enjoy it because like if you look at the initial, Australian people, convicts sent over, had to like work for their freedom. Now we're like flipping it on you.
Yeah.
It's like,
I respect that.
you want another year? You fucking pick that fruit, you dog.
Does it have to be fruit picking? Can it not be anything else?
It's
farm work of some kind.
agricultural work.
Yes.
Like it's like broader. Like I know someone like because he had like a hookup because you get hookups because there's like different like you sort it out. Like the government isn't like this is your assigned farm because that's slavery, I guess. But like they do get paid, but it is like slave labor rates, like £3 an hour.
So let me get
like
this
something crazy.
So I want to move to Australia. Right, I want to move there.
Yeah.
And I've got stuff set up. I've got gigs. I've got work set up. But before I get to do any of that, you're telling me the government says not only do I have to pick fruit, I have to find my own. I've got no connections to the fruit picking industry here.
No, this is.
I can hook you up.
This
All
is-
right, thanks, man.
I know some
I'll
guys.
try to tone it.
some
I'll
guys,
try to
man.
tone it down.
You tell me the clubs to do here in London. I'll get you some good farm gigs. In Australia.
Well, the thing that is my favorite bit about it, it's not initially. So you get a year in Australia, sure, whatever you like.
Okay,
But
cool.
hey, just when you've started to like the place, just when you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I think I'd like to stay longer, they're like, well, there's one thing you must do, and that is pick fruit for 90 days.
I'm sure that if you were a high-powered businessman, you would not have to go through
Yeah,
the fruit
yeah.
picking. There are different kinds of visas that you can get. But if you are someone in their 20s who's just wanting to sort of travel and do some bar work or be a front-of-house person at a various fringe festival, then you're picking some fruit.
Maybe it's like you have to say to the government, no, I'm not doing that. And they go, that was the real test. And they just give you a passport. And
It's like hazing.
yeah.
It's just like,
No,
yeah.
Australians wouldn't like that. We're big sticklers for rules. And if
I
there are
like
rules,
that.
then you have to follow them.
What are you talking about, Tom? We got the kangaroo and the emu in our coat of arms because they're the only animals who can't take a backward step.
Yeah, that's a rule. They can't go backwards.
That's true.
All right. If you saw a kangaroo going backwards, you'd report it to the authorities.
Yeah, that's actually a true thing.
What do you mean?
They can't go backwards. Kangaroos and emus.
What, legally? Or
No, just literally. There's not police officers with binoculars being like, that fucking cunt's hopping backwards. Get him. Like, no.
All right.
Just like they physically can't do it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and that's why it's on the coat of arms. Supposedly.
There's got to be other... a cow. Could a cow go
But
backwards?
Australian animals.
No,
they're
they can't
coat
go-
of arms.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they can't go downstairs.
we had a cow and a coat of arms.
All right. I don't know.
And also the other thing is that we're the only country that eats the animals that are on its coat of arms.
Is that true?
Apparently, yes.
My
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
Well, we got a lot of stuff going on.
What's even on our
God,
coat
I
of
missed
ar-
that
What's
country.
on our coat of arms here? Stripes.
No, this is
I
the
thought it was a
flag.
lion.
You
Is
got
it
the
a
lion,
lion?
right?
Oh,
Yeah.
but there might be a horse on there. I'm sure some people eat horses.
Well, there's a unicorn on the passport, isn't there?
Oh yeah.
There's
Well,
a
people
unicorn
aren't
on the
eating
We
that.
don't, we don't, we don't eat them.
No,
Wait, there's a unicorn on the British passport.
I think so.
Who knows? Post Brexit, you might have to just.
Yeah, we'll have to get rid of that.
Get rid of
Alright,
that.
how long
Do
we
it.
in? 5 minutes. Tom's like, I understand your culture. Let me stay. Like,
It's going to be like our post-Brexit, our passport is just going to be a fucking scratch and sniff with some with some fruit. And if you ever miss the old times, you just sniff your passport. You go, oh yeah, that's what it tasted like.
Just wait. So we should keep the introductions going.
Oh, yeah, sure to.
Bright-
To
yeah,
everyone.
everyone. Yeah, we got deep Australian, and this is you're a Brighton boy,
Born in Portsmouth, raised in Brighton.
born in Portsmouth.
Yep.
Give me some Portsmouth. What's that? Is that
So-
between Brighton and Southampton? Is that like
That is exactly what it is.
Yes.
It is. It's closer to Southampton. They're big rivals.
Big
It's a
rivals.
big, historically naval docking town, shipyard place. That's where I was born.
That's
and
where
then
you were born?
we moved to Brighton when I was like 1.
Okay, so,
So,
like
yeah.
mainly Brighton.
Mainly Brighton, yeah.
Mainly you, Sean McLoughlin, the most alternative person I've ever seen
Good grief.
growing up in Brighton. Well, I mean, because Brighton claims that like hard. Like it's not just
Yeah.
everybody else. It's like Brighton being like, no, but seriously, bro. Like,
Yeah.
we're heaps progressive.
I think it's definitely taken a leap in the 10 years since I've lived there. I mean,
Right.
it's always been like a party place and a big it was always like the gay capital and the drugs capital and all that stuff. But it never felt like it was like there's now a Green MP in Brighton. That was never the case when I was a kid. When I was a kid, it was like a conservative seat.
Ah,
Like, yeah, they were all Tory seats.
Mooch.
That
is
Mooch's
just-
phone.
Mooch's phone going off mid-pod. Who is it from?
Is that the fucking Home Office
Vauxhall
talking about...
comedy clubs.
Oh, the Vauxhall Comedy Club, ladies and gentlemen. This
there it
podcast
is.
now brought to you by the Vauxhall Comedy Club.
Yeah.
Is it every night of the week now?
Nearly Sunday to Thursday and Fridays occasionally.
Fridays
And
occasionally?
Friday, Saturdays occasionally. Like I'm working up to do the weekend stuff properly.
Great.
It's have you guys done it?
Can I get a slot?
Yeah,
Yeah,
can I get on that?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, let's
I'll-
do it.
I'll grab your details after, and I'll pest you for slots.
Cool, man.
I like that we seamlessly just styled that ringtone.
It was all a ploy. So
yeah. Get the plug going.
Quick, come in.
I like
Is
it.
that a club? Can I get on? Is someone calling?
Please let
Can
me
I get a
stay.
spot? Live with the Apollo? Oh, I'm going to Live with the Apollo on Wednesday. Is that
Really?
interesting? I'm going to watch the taping. Is that going to be hell?
I don't know.
I don't
going
think it's like
Thursday.
American tapings here. I don't think it's like long like that.
It's
like
from
the
6
American
till
one.
10:30.
Oh fuck! All right, I lied.
Are they doing that the entire They do 2 full episodes on the day.
Yeah,
Everyone does 20 and then they have a break.
They do back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll
No,
be
I'm very-
like...
I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
Very grateful.
Yeah, for the people. So, yeah. Anyway, go on.
And if they cut to you in the crowd, that's a credit.
Yeah.
As seen on Live at the Apollo.
That's
Bang.
a credit.
As seen on. Yeah.
And they Live at the Apollo, they're notorious for they always cut to the crowd. Whenever someone makes a joke about a certain type of person, they find that person in the crowd. So you should hope that one of them makes a joke about
She's
Tom Ballard.
laughing. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, right, great.
Dude, I had that like with my special. Like the guy sent me like one of the edits, and it was like, and I said like the word Muslim and then a joke, and then he just cut to like a lady in a hijab, and I'm like, that needs to go. Like, we're not having that. Like that's weird. Like, but I've always thought that'd be like a good sketch, you know, where they just like you do a joke about everything, you just cut to that.
Yeah.
And then it like just keeps going down like that kind of person. Then it's like a dog, and it's like a dog laughing, and then like a stapler laughing, and then like a joke about yourself, and then you laughing like. Oh, yeah. There you go. just pitching sketch ideas. Like that's where we're at.
I had a bit about it, but yeah, one of the TV spots was cutting to a guy in the crowd who's just checking his watch, just like brilliant haircut.
I love my favorite thing, and this is all film stand-up, no matter where it is.
Yeah.
They'll only ever find one or two people laughing, and always just look behind them or look next to them. There will be someone there going, "What the fuck?" Like, because there's always at least 50% of a crowd going, "What is this?" in a recording.
Oh, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
like especially like in the States, and I don't know if it's the same here, but like free tickets and shit.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's just people just being like papered in, and they're just like, what are we?
You're not invested.
I think Live at the Apollo is free, isn't it? Did you? Oh my god,
Oh.
this is when I find out that you.
So, some people in the industry gave sort of be out for a ticket, yes.
I think it's like TV recording rules.
I mean, that's pretty funny. It's just like, hey Tom, you booked for Live at the Apollo. Cool. How long am I doing? No, you're in the crowd.
I'm a seat warmer.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
said
yeah.
you have to stay for the whole 2 shows. You can't. I guess no empty seats. That's important.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
We're talking about Brighton.
Brighton.
It used to be more conservative because like since I've come here, it's like the progressive.
Yeah.
Like that's the butt of every joke. Like the blue hair, like the
Yeah, it
It's
is.
not
Yeah.
working. It's very middle class, right? It's
It is definitely like now.
professional
It's,
middle class kind of vibe.
well, it's sort of it was always the artist place. I think it's like it was the first like really gentrified
Right.
place.
Yeah.
Right.
So it became very expensive. Now it's like basically the same as London.
Yeah.
Was it ever rough? Like before it like gentrified? Was it like ever kind of like a poorer place, or was it just?
Not rough. I mean, it's like any city of a certain size. There are definitely rough parts to it.
Yeah.
I mean, the part of town I grew up in, when I was a kid, it didn't feel particularly like... It was nice. It was nice enough. But it wasn't like... one of our neighbours was like a builder, and then one of them was a lawyer. It was the type of normal place where everyone could live.
Right. Whereas now.
And now I go back to those streets, and it's like... holistic dog centres. Like there is a holistic dog centre where there used to be a liquidation store. So there was a big store at the top of our road, which was where it was basically come buy cheap stuff here, and if you don't buy it, it will be liquidated.
Sure.
And now it's where you train your dog to rap or something.
I thought Holistic Dog Center was like a hilarious example, but that's a real.
It's a genuine holistic
Where
dog
they
centre. Yeah.
holistically heal your dog, or
I guess. I mean, I don't know.
They
You'd have
teach
to
your
ask.
dog mindfulness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's just like no, it's not enough just to sit. Why are you
Yeah.
sitting? Like, that's
It
the
is.
key.
There is like the problem with Brighton is it's insufferable. It's like I'm so glad that I'm out of there.
That's. I was looking at maybe going the World Transformed, which happens in conjunction with the Labour Party conferences there the week after next, I think. So that's where Corbyn and all the lefties will be doing their little conference talking about left. So I thought, that's an interesting location for that to happen. Yeah.
Well, it's weird. Like Brighton is one of the 3 main party conference cities. So
Yeah.
the Tories have had loads of party conferences in Brighton.
Right.
Margaret
Right.
Thatcher was almost assassinated
That was
in
the where the
Brighton.
bombing was,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
gotcha,
stuff
yeah.
like that.
Uh-huh.
It's
Wait,
definitely.
Sorry, I'm a dummy. What's this bombing? Like the Thatcher? No, this is.
They blew up the Grand Hotel in Brighton, the IRA.
Really?
Trying to kill Margaret Thatcher. Yeah, it's
Shit.
yeah.
I love a bit of. I don't know stuff.
It's pretty cool. It is pretty cool.
This is why I do this. I do this so I don't have to read. You know, I just get to figure shit out. So that was like what in like the 70s, 80s,
80s, yeah.
80s, right?
Maybe early 90s. Yeah, I think it was late 80s. Yeah.
And in Brighton, so they used to do like the conservative conferences. What are the other 2 major conference cities? If Brighton's one of them,
I
assume
think
London.
Bournemouth
Oh,
and
Birmingham? No.
they have some in Birmingham. Now it's sort of spread out. It was always a seaside place. Blackpool had a few,
Blackpool. I was
and
just
now Manchester has a few. I think.
right.
Yeah.
I was just in Blackpool on the weekend.
Yeah.
That is now because I do like gigs anywhere that'll have me just because I'm trash and I enjoy it.
Good.
Blackpool is the new grimmest place.
Yeah.
That like Blackburn was number 1, and Blackpool has just swept them. Like
Blackpool is what Brighton would be if it wasn't near London. basically. Like 100%. Being near London is the best thing that ever happens to Brighton.
Because like Blackburn's got like a pier as well, and that makes it so much sadder. You know what I mean? Just like these really depressed people next to a pier. It's like, look, I know you guys are sad. Here is something we built for you to jump on. Like, it's so fucking depressing. I got Panadol for 19p. 19p. I'm like, you want me to take too many of these? Like, I'm putting the power in my hands. It was unbelievable. That isn't even a price.
Do people go there for a casino at Blackpool?
No, but it does have like Atlantic City vibes, I think. Like it definitely has that. Just kind of like...
What, run down and just...
run down and just like, this place used to be the place before we made the new place.
It is such like faded glory. Like Blackpool has been hit harder by cheap flights to Europe than pretty much any other British town.
Than Butlins. Butlins is the only other thing. I just did a gig in Butlins as well. Do you know Butlins, Tom?
Nope.
Oh my God, Butlins.
Bognor Regis Butlins? Is that the one you went to?
No, I did Minehead.
Okay.
What a fucking... Just by the names of the places, you're like, humans shouldn't go here. Like, what are you doing? But Butlins was like their kind of like... Just imagine like a Jamboree recreation park.
Okay.
That's like just kind of like, it's just out of Sydney. It's just like a bit shit. It's like, and you kind of go there on like a family holiday if you couldn't afford a better
Butlins is the
family
posh
holiday.
one as well. There's Pontins.
Pontin, that's it.
Wait, Butlins is the posh one.
Yeah.
Have you seen the amount of teeth that are in Butlins, dude?
Just heroin and sand.
Heroin and sand. That sounds like Blackpool, to be honest. Heroin and sand.
They're really grim. They're really grim.
Pontins. Okay. Because like
no one does bleak like the British. You really,
it's an amazing gift. Like British everyday life is almost as bleak as like an Irish novel. You know, like that's like every Irish novel is like, so my parents died before I was 6, and then I killed myself. And you're like, what?
Still better than Pontins.
Still better than Pontins.
I went to Argos for the first time. There's so many things I only know through stand-up comedy, like people referencing like Alan Carr routines about going to Argos. And I thought it was so something so wrong about it. Like the computer was so slow.
Yeah.
Every time you pressed anything on the screen, it took honestly 40 seconds for it to move on. And then like a pop-up message would say like, "Hey, you're taking a while." I'm like, "No, you're taking too long. I'm waiting for this to go." And then you find the shitty product, and then you go over, and the man brings you out the product. It's something wrong about it.
What did you buy at Argos? Am I allowed to ask?
Yeah, it's fine. I had to get some pillows because I took a pillow to a music festival at a subletting a place, and I lost that pillow, so I needed to buy.
I was there at that music festival.
You already did,
and so here. This is the end of the road. He brought the pillow. Because I
There
was
we
like,
go.
"Oh, just give me your stuff." And he's like, "Oh, no, I got this pillow. I need to take it home." So what the fuck happened to the pillow, Tom?
I don't know. I must have lost it on that train coming back from Heathrow. I think.
You know what it's like. You go to a festival, you lose a pillow. I mean, it's tale of oldest time.
I don't know if you bring a pillow to a music festival. It's been so long since I've camped. I did like 3 of them this year and I just was in and out.
I had a pillow. Me and my wife stayed over at a music festival, and I had done a full weekend in like 10 years at a music festival.
Yeah.
And like, we had pillow because we had a car, and so we brought pillows and like proper blankets. It's just great.
Felt good.
I used to just like sleep on like my backpack and like love it. I'd love it. I'd be like, I'm just so connected to the music.
Yeah, I do like the like idealism of youth in that sense. Like I remember like one time I was like, yeah man, I was so fucked up. I just slept next to the car, like not even in a tent. And now it's just like, oh, that person's gonna die. You know, just it does change. But like one thing that I found interesting is like the Australian comics who were at Edinburgh just did like a music festival, and they'd come to Edinburgh and like I'd run like the Australian show, like the AC/DC thing, and then like they talk about going to the music festival, like, who has been to a music festival? And I was like, what? And they'd be like, who has been to comedy at a music festival? And they're expecting the crowd to be like, no. Whereas like in the UK, everyone's like, yes. It's literally all of us. Like we enjoy it. It's a great part of the day. And that's just like that divide between like in Australia, it's like, hey man, I'm a comedian. And they're like, oh, cool. That's it. Like they don't have like they've never seen anything. Like they've just seen one guy at the town hall one time. Right. Like whereas in the UK it's like, oh, I go to this club around the corner. Have you been there? Yeah. Like, there's just such a different engagement.
We definitely have like a culture of live entertainment in this country. Like everyone kind of does. I'm always amazed at how well the British comedy club scene is going. And people sort of complain that it's dying, and it's only dying compared to what it was 20 years ago. But really, like,
it's insane.
For an island of this size, it's kind of ludicrous how many comedians can be sustained for the most part.
And how many people are in the audience? Like, like even, like just these random, like Butlins Minehead. Like, it was like a Sunday afternoon. There was like 200, 250 people.
Yeah.
And you just like, in Australia, you'd like murder someone for that many people. You'd be like, how many babies? I'll fucking do it. Like, I just want to play more than 100 people on a Saturday. Like, that's all I want.
He's dumb, really. It's kind of ridiculous.
Why do you think that is? Like, I've had like a bunch of like, get like non-UK people, and they reckon it's the houses. They reckon it's just like, you guys have kind of shit homes. So you're willing to spend. Stop eyeballing the camera, right? You don't get to look cross. They're just kind of like. So you want to leave?
What are you saying, man?
They're just like that. You just want to leave.
My house is fucking shit.
Yeah.
I've got to go to a comedy. I've got to go see Daniel Muggleton, innit?
I love that. Like
I don't even have a living room.
How shit is your house if it's worse than the average comedy club? Like,
Look,
I've got to go to the comedy club just so I can feel a little bit luxurious.
Oh no, the gig's almost over. I've got to go back to me little hovel. Oh no. Whose theory was that? Name the person.
Look at these delightful folding chairs. Better than the shit I got at Argos. Anyway, it was Dylan Gott, Canadian guy, and I kind of agree with it.
Dylan Gott said that. Dylan Gott said a thing to me about Canadian comedy that I think maybe is the same with Australia, and it's relevant here.
Sure.
Because he said, I don't know if he said it here, but he said Canada is a country that is built for being outdoors.
Yeah.
Whereas Britain is not a country that's built for being outdoors, and maybe that's why people go to things.
Right.
Which I think is a slightly, maybe he was being diplomatic because he didn't want to say your house is shit. So that's why everyone's here.
I mean, I definitely think there's some value to that.
Yeah.
Like, because Australia, like, it's like the rain in Australia. Like, I used to run shows there, and if it was raining, I'd just be like, all right, we're losing 50% of the crowd.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just done.
Yeah.
Lock it in. Like, this is in Sydney. Like, Melbourne, I guess, a little bit different because you're in Melbourne now. The other thing, you grew up like country boy.
Yes.
In Warrnambool.
Yep. Lovely house.
Yeah. Was it? Yeah, no need to go to any comedy club.
Yeah, but like that's the thing in these like English like villages, like they all have a comedy night, they all have like a comedy club. I assume Warrnambool there was like nothing.
There wasn't. No, there is a monthly room now, but yes, certainly nothing when I was growing up.
Back in the day, yeah, because I'd never seen live stand up until I was like 21. Right. And that was like at Melbourne Comedy Festival. Like we kind of made like a weekend of it. But like the idea of just going to the comedy club around the corner. That even me, who like now is a comedian, I was like, that's insane. Like, where is it even? I don't know where it is. I didn't know Sydney had a comedy store until I started stand up. Yeah. I had no idea.
You're just loving your house the whole time, you know?
I was outdoors.
Is there something about? I mean, is that an observation you've had about British houses being shit?
I mean,
have you been to enough?
They're definitely.
I didn't like the house I grew up in was not like a massive house. I grew up in like a 3-bedroom semi-detached, like I would say a very average, okay house. But I would not say that it was so shit. Like I would say, like if you were rich, you'd go there and go, "This is so tiny." But it was clearly a pleasant enough place to sit and spend an evening.
I don't think it's a real theory.
I mean, I'm gonna defend this theory a little bit, just because like. In Australia, you've got space in your house to invite people over to hang out there. Like, whereas, like, in my house in London, there's, like, 7 chairs. Like,
back in the day as well, it was like, there's a latrine out the back. It's a 2 up, 2 down. I'm thinking, more Victorian, like, tiny little...
Yeah, but, like, those old terrace... But I actually read a thing once. I read a book about the English mentality. And they said, actually, English people have a specific thing about their home in relation to most countries. And this... I mean, I don't know how far the theory goes. I don't really remember all of it. Sure. But they said, like... In most countries, people will invite you into your house all the time. Like if you go to freaking France or Italy, they go, "Come round to mine, we'll have dinner," like to strangers.
What
I will never. I will. Yeah, hey, come here, papa, papa. But I do think like
inviting your dad into your house.
Papa, come for food, papa. Please, no need for the comedy club tonight, papa.
Please.
But it's not funny. Your house is shit.
No, Sean, you killed me. With your shit at home.
Dad, come home from the comedy club. Mother misses you.
Please.
I didn't have a father growing up. What happened? Did he run away?
Invite people over to your house.
I think it's I would if I could have no one ever in my house. I have no desire to do that, and I think maybe that's a thing. Maybe that is a thing. Actually, you want to meet publicly.
Maybe you want to meet publicly.
Maybe you want to meet publicly. My house is not. I mean, the flat I live in now is fine.
The only time in the UK you go to someone's house is after a night out when you're doing drugs. That's the time.
Yeah.
That's genuinely it.
Yeah.
That's the only
And
time
if you
I've
were
ever been invited over.
If you were allowed to do that in a car park, you would. Yeah.
To be fair, the flat I'm subletting in, it is 3 bedrooms and a kitchen, and that is it. That's the entire.
So I love that you guys have attacked this theory, and all you've done is slowly
Yeah,
justify it.
I think it's much more about the miserable British soul that they need some kind of laughter or need to get some communal area to laugh at the horrors of life.
But they're a good audience as well. Like
they're
I
great.
think, not just comedy, like music and stuff. Like, and like old motherfuckers still go out. You know?
Yeah.
Like in Australia, if you hit like 45, like you're not seen in public anymore. Like you're done. Like you're watching sport. That's it. That's the only thing Australians will go out for. Guaranteed. Sport.
The music festivals, I've been to Latitude and End of the Road, and it was remarkable. The like median age or the number of retirees that were out there fucking rapping. I was very impressed.
And they're
quite
having
old
a good time.
festivals, though.
So
I guess they are.
They'll
Like
do quite
Latitude
old
was like
festivals,
extraordinarily family friendly, but on the other end too, like people in their late 60s easily hanging out to bring their little chairs and watching some, Kate Tempest.
Definitely.
Yeah, but so like just like back to like growing up in like a country town in Australia. Like, do you think? Well, I find it remarkable that you like got into comedy at all. Like, I find it remarkable that like I did like being in like Sydney, which is like supposedly
comedy.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Doing a couple of gigs, watching a couple of shows.
Cool.
I just don't like my living room. But no, just like how did you? Because like in the UK, like I think there is that culture of going out. Like everyone seems to have like been in a band or like done kind of something performancing. Like most English people I know have kind of done something in that world. Whereas in Australia, like no one does. And I think in a country town, like you're so far away from it. You know what I mean?
I think the cultural literacy in this country is amazing. I'm always amazed at how sort of dumb your media is in this country as opposed to how smart people are, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like your average British person, I think, is broadly pretty well read and has a cosmopolitan outlook to things, and your media is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
As is ours. But yes, grew up in a country town. It was about 30,000 people, and football was the main preoccupation of young boys' time. So if you had an interest in musical theatre, you were a little bit weird. Yeah. But protected by middle-class progressive parents sending me along to drama classes and stuff, I kind of figured it out. Yeah.
Right. So did you ever football? Did you play?
Absolutely not.
Not one. Any sport? Surely cricket. You seem like you rolled your arm over.
I hate cricket. I played tennis for a little bit of soccer.
Okay.
In primary school, I used to commentate the football matches to no one but myself.
That's amazing.
That's great.
That's like an origin
story.
story.
Now, I didn't know the rules or what was happening in the game, but it just seemed like a good gig. Have an audience.
Yeah, but what?
That's embarrassing.
What? Why is that embarrassing? Commentating.
It's humiliating. I wasn't a very cool kid.
What do you mean? I think that's way cooler than me just being mediocre at sport and continuing to play because I thought I had to. Like, what?
Is there even such a thing though as a cool kid? Like, I can't. I've never looked at anyone under the age of 18 or even 21 and thought, fucking hell, they're cool. Now I'm like, come back in a decade. I'm all right.
Yeah, that is a good point. Like, as soon as you turn like 25, I guess you're just kind of like anyone under the age of 21 is a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Like they are. Like, but that's kind of what's endearing about them. I look at myself as 18. Like when I was like 17, I was like a communist. I was like, this is good stuff. At my private school, being like, I'm a communist, and the teachers are like, I don't think you get it. I don't think you understand who's on the guillotine, champ. But yeah. But no, I just find that really like remarkable. Like because Australia's just like I don't think comedy is like part of the Australian culture, really. Like as a performance art, I think like being funny is very important. But I think like the actual kind of we're gonna go watch the person talk, like that's not our vibe. Like pub funny versus like club funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, going to a comedy club is very rare or a very specialised event. It's not part of a regular cycle, unlike, say, sport.
Yeah.
And same with probably theatre. Although apparently more people go to arts events in Australia than sport. Is a statistic I've heard. Like year on year, the number of like the attendance records across all arts beats sport, which is quite.
Does that include like cinema attendance as well?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I
School
just,
recitals.
even with that, I don't believe that statistic. Like,
think about all music festivals, theatre, dance, ballet.
But
You know
there's
how
like-
we always go to the dance and ballet.
oh man, so many times.
Also, that's probably
Just like, God,
boomers.
another opera I've already seen. Like,
Yeah.
That's probably also boomers who have disposable income to go to those kind of things.
It's true.
That are
I love it.
subsidised by a conservative government.
Actually, yeah,
But,
fuck, my mum goes, and she's not even like a proper boomer. She's like a poor boomer. Like, she fucked it.
No.
You know what I mean?
That's
She's like,
impressive.
"Mum, you
She's
had
lived a life.
You had every opportunity to just nail this. And she's like, oh, but I didn't work for a bit. Like, idiot. Just buy a house. Just have one.
I would certainly say in Britain you can be a comedian who doesn't like have a regular TV or radio gig and you're doing quite well. You can be a live comedian.
Yeah.
Justin Hamilton, Australian comedian, once said, "Is like if you say you're a comedian, people say, oh, cool. What TV show are you on? What radio show do you do?"
Yeah.
As opposed to just being a live stand-up comedian. I think that's much more possible here than in Australia.
Yeah. I think I mean, the population is enormous in this
Yes.
country for the size of it.
Yes.
There's stuff like the transport links in this country, and we always shit on the train here.
But it is
beyond
impressive.
the price, it is insane how well connected Britain can be.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so many tiny villages have got their own train stations, so many things like that.
Yeah.
So you can get around, and maybe that connects people more. Maybe that encourages people to
Oh, man.
go out and do things more.
The ability to get around is insane. Like
Yeah.
this week, I was in York on Thursday, Blackpool Friday, Brighton Saturday, Minehead Sunday.
Yeah.
And like it was not that bad.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you could. It was a bit of a pain, but
Yeah.
everything was pretty much on time. Like it wasn't crazy expensive.
Yeah,
like in
yeah,
Australia,
yeah.
can you imagine? It's like I was in Sydney on Thursday,
Yeah.
and then I was in like Byron Bay on Friday. Like you just couldn't. Like you'd be
Yeah.
driving for 9 hours a day minimum.
Yeah,
like. It's just impossible.
I was in
Because you were in Australia, right? You were in Australia.
yeah,
Yeah, just in June.
in May. Yeah,
Yeah.
April, May.
Was that your first Australian
That was it. Yeah.
experience? What do you think about what Tom's saying about the comedy thing? Like, do you think they were literate? Were they there with you?
I loved it, but I think it was. I mean, I had it. It was different. I was doing festival gigs in really, for the most part, established venues. Like I was doing the evening shows at the store, and doing solo shows, and and doing galas at the Opera House. And I don't think that represents Australians.
Oh man, every Australian comedian's done. No,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like, absolutely right. You're the absolute top tier.
But I think like I loved it. I loved the audiences. I mean, I loved it. I mean, you'd have to live it though. I think you'd have to live it for a year to really get a sense of what it was like. I mean, a lot of Aussie comics come over and go, "Oh, it's hard over there," and I take their word for it. I'm like, what are you talking about? I was in Perth for 1 week and I did fine. Yeah.
And because you've gone to Canada as well, right? Because I always think like Canada is just cold Australia. Like it's very similar. Like genuinely, I think it's like insanely similar. And somehow I got this like different stereotype where they're all friendly and not racist. And it's like, yeah, mate, but like what happened to your Indigenous population, champ?
Yeah,
Like,
well, yeah.
they're gone too.
Yeah. I think Canada have done. I don't know how, but they've played a blinder in terms of the native peoples thing. It's all US.
Yeah.
US get all the blame for that, and it went down in Canada pretty bad, and it continues to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got a great PR team, the old
Yeah,
Canadians.
yeah.
They're just like, what happened to the thing? It's like, look at Trudeau,
Yeah.
isn't he nice? Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's impressive. And like ice hocky.
And
That's just
politeness. It shows how far politeness can get you. If you say please and thank you, people forget about the
Yeah.
genocide that happened.
Because I mean, the Canadians, you assume they apologise sooner.
Yeah.
Like, as a people, you would expect them. Australia waited like 100 years. Canada's like, oh, so sorry. Please forgive us. Are we going to stop? No. No, thank you. But yeah, do you find Canadian and Australian people because your wife is a Canadian lady?
Yeah.
And are you guys planning to stay here for good? Is she sold on the UK experience?
At the moment, she is. I think it's always touch and go. At the moment, she's really enjoying living in London because we've moved into a slightly nicer place and
A nice house. Don't need to go out as much.
don't need to go out as
Good
much.
news.
Do you know what? We don't need to go out as much. That is true, though. It is, yeah. But I think, ideally we'd be able to do both, but I don't know how viable that will be long term.
Sure.
I love it where she lives. I love where she's from.
Where is that?
She is from, well, I don't like her hometown. Her hometown is called Cornwall, Ontario, which is a fucking, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, we got married there. Our wedding venue cost us $200.
Oh, yes.
So that is where she's from.
Oh my god.
To keep.
So yeah. And now we run it.
How big is it? Is it pretty small?
It's about 50,000, but it's in that sort of massively spread out North American, like it's just sprawl.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, Australian sprawl as well. We do that
I guess
pretty
you
well.
probably do it pretty well. I don't know the suburban thing as well. But she like lived in Ottawa for like many years before she came. It's great there. But it's just, I mean, I don't know about the winters.
Wait, like Ottawa. Good things about Ottawa, isn't it? Capital.
It's the capital.
Capital.
Yeah. It's the Canberra of Canada,
I've heard it was quite stiff.
I like it.
You liked it?
I don't mind it.
The...
I think maybe I like being in a city that isn't like London. It's like quite nice to just be able to take it at a pace.
Just like calm.
Yeah.
Because like, wait, you've gone from like Brighton to London. Would you ever go back to Brighton? Does that appeal? Never. Why?
Not big enough. First of all.
Yeah, you like a bit of a.
I like a big place.
Yeah, good. Me too. Like some population.
Oh yeah,
like some population.
Yeah. Sure.
Good.
Also, I just don't have any affinity to Brighton. It is so different to when. I mean, first of all, I didn't care that much about being there when I was there. I always wanted to get away, just because I always just wanted to get away. And then I go back now, and it's not the same place that I grew up in. It's not like I can remember all the things because everything's different, and it's a different type of people live there sometimes, and
so everything's been replaced. Got like kind of Shawshank Redemption when he got out of the prison.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that.
Maybe I should go back to where I know.
I still think it's the best night out around. I mean, that's the one thing with Brighton. I think it's an amazing night out because just the amount of great pubs. No, you don't think so?
When were you last in Brighton? It's all stag do's and hen parties now. It's
yeah,
really...
but that's only no. If you go like around the lanes and stuff, it's okay, isn't it? You don't think so?
I've heard just from local people that it seems to be dominated by that, and like a lot of the bigger music-y sort of clubs are shutting down. It's all just on the beachfront. Sorry to bring doom and gloom.
No, it's fine. Well, Brighton's a weird place because it's like the is that you again?
Sorry, Mum.
Oh my god.
It's tourism is the industry. That's
Yeah.
the thing. There's no industry in Brighton. It's always been tourism.
Right.
So it's kind of.
But like what? Like tourism in terms of like people just go there to go out? Like there's not really stuff to like you don't swim at the beach there. Have you seen it? It's like
you can swim at the beach, yeah. I mean, you Australians can't, but British people can.
It's pretty yuck, dude. Like you just look at it, it's like, you know that colour of water where you're like, well that's a hard no.
No, I don't think I'd go back. I'd go back.
But is it just dead during the winter then, if it's just the summertime?
It's not super. It's not. I mean, there's still enough people for it to be a place.
Yeah.
Like it's not like. No, it's not like places like Margate or Blackpool where there is literally nothing. Like, there are enough people who live there, but it's not a good place to be in the winter. Compared summer, it's the best place to be, and winter, it's just like. It's a bit shy.
Like my hometown's on the coast as well in Warrnambool, and in the summer, people who live in Warrnambool would rent a space down at the caravan park down at the beach for like 2 or 3 weeks during the summer. So they'd go home to their house, which is like a 5-minute drive away, to do their washing or whatever. But that was their summer holiday, was going down to the caravan park in the town that they lived.
It's like just living in the same town, slightly closer to the beach.
Time for guys, dream a little bit more,
dream bigger.
That's the mad thing, isn't it, about Australia? I think it's just it's too big and it's too far from anything. I mean, do you get a sense of that when you're growing up, or is that only when you're older? You're like, oh fuck, we're far.
When you're there, it's really close.
Yeah.
It's really close to Australia.
Yeah, but then like as soon as you leave, right, you're just kind of like, oh man, like what? How does anything get there? Like.
Why is the population so small for a country that big? I don't understand.
I mean, it's 20. It's 25.
Because the houses are too good.
These people just don't want to leave.
The houses are so good they won't have sex. They're just looking at their nice houses.
It's like I don't want to crowd up this living room with a baby. I want to keep it fucking beautiful. No, like I don't think the population of Australia is like that small, considering like how new it is. Like, obviously, they're, like, new as, like, people inhabiting it. But, like, Australia as a concept is very new. Like, 200 years. 200 a bit.
So is America, surely? Isn't America around that? Or is it a bit longer?
America's 400. Like 400. It's, like, it's a lot more. And the other thing with, like, America, like, they let everyone in. Like, after the wars and stuff, they were like, fucking get in. We're going to have this big America. Like, it's going to be, like, you know, it was, like, a destination. Whereas, like... It was too far to get to Australia. Like, a few people came over, but if you look at after World War II, like, we got, like, a bit of Polish immigration, like, a little bit of Greek, like, but not...
I mean, we literally had a white Australia policy for the first 50 or 60 years after Federation, which is literally saying that if you're a person of colour, you're not allowed into the country. So,
really?
And this is like back in the day where like white didn't include Italian, you know? Like now it's like, please come in, we need you. Yes. But like, you know, back in the day, it's just like not white enough.
I love what people used to be racist about. People used to be racist about Catholics. You go, what?
Your-
The Irish, the original slaves.
Yeah. Your god is the wrong race. Like what?
Let me. I can't comment on Australia's history or policy, but I will say, having been there, comfortably the most fuckable old people I've ever witnessed. Comfortably.
Go on.
Consistently the most fuckable old people. Like
How old are we talking? Like
I'd say there is. If you would take a woman, I guess a man. I mean, I'm a hetero, so I mean, I can't judge as much as someone else. If say at the average of like a 55 or 60-year-old woman in Australia, on average, is going to be significantly fitter than the equivalent in any other country. In my experience,
Really?
I was very
I
was very taken aback by
I think
it.
that goes across the board generally. Like Australians generally are in better shape and better nick than English people.
Yeah,
I mean,
But it's not just. I've been
English
everywhere.
people, like, yeah,
Yeah.
obviously. What? Like, come on, you guys are gross.
I honestly,
like,
I think old people. I think they're fucking fit over there. Has no one ever said that?
You just came back from Australia.
No, I was there earlier this year. Yeah.
Now, do you think that's someone who is fit, maintaining the fitness into old age, or is it like an okay person becoming more
Maturing.
attractive as they enter the 50s and 60s to you and your sicko brain?
Well, based on what what did you?
I think that was a loaded question, Tom.
Whoa.
I've given you the options. Answer the question.
I would say based on the
Sicko
white
brain.
Australia policy you just told me, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if you fucking kill off the mingers by 40.
Yeah,
You know the
Send
rule.
them to an island, actually. Thank you.
Oh, that's great.
just offshore. It's very convenient.
So
I can
you
get a tan.
think people, like, attractive people maintaining attractiveness, for ladies looking good, or like there's something about the older age.
I don't know what it is. I was
Okay.
just maybe it was just a particular period of loneliness.
I mean, I don't disagree with that. Like, I'm just thinking about it now. Like, being like at the beach, like just like they're kind of in shape.
Yeah.
I think like they've kind of maintained like a shape, but I think like physically they're horribly destroyed by the sun.
I think they
Leathery.
maybe their spirit is in better shape.
So-
Their soul is
Yes,
nourished, and I
That's,
think
that's
most
how I
pla-
judge people on the
most-
inside. Actually.
No, no,
so,
but
so
I-
I know what you're saying.
but
No,
I think-
actually, I agree with you. Actually, now, Sean, because actually, it's actually what's on the inside that counts. So I get it.
Tom's actually got a pretty big like left-wing media career in Australia to protect. That's why he's playing this one beautifully. Being like, oh, that could cancel me. Not another one. Fucking dodge it.
I think all races and ages are beautiful, actually. So.
Thank you. Tom Ballard, ladies and gentlemen. 2023 Prime Minister Tom Ballard running on a platform of everybody's great.
Oh no, that'll do very badly in Australian politics if you can't demonize a minority. That's no good.
I know. I'm gonna run. No, that's really interesting. I think you guys kind of age, or I don't know. You guys put in so much work into your appearance here that I find impressive. Like I can be tricked.
Do you mean in terms of so little work?
Like so little on the back end, but like an hour before you go out, you're fucking putting in work, dude. Like there's no diet or gym, but like, God, you're dressing up and putting on some, some good gear. I think we dress horribly in Australia and like present ourselves quite lazily, but I like that though. Like my fiance doesn't wear a lot of makeup, and I'm like, good. Like the makeup thing just seems like, it's tricky. It seems like trickery. Because I'm dumb. I'll get tricked. I'll be like, you look like that all the time, don't you? And then you see them the next day, like on the way to work, and you're like, oh no, not at all. This was a complete lie. But
Daniel's wearing tracksuit pants at the moment.
of course, yeah. Dude, they know. I got a brand to protect. Phoning it in. That's my whole brand. Yeah, but it's just funny. So one thing with the Brighton, because have you become Christian, or like have you like always kind of been Christian? You've like rediscovered it, because like I just know that about you.
Oh no, I was raised Catholic. I was raised fucking Catholic.
Like super Catholic.
Well, my mum saw my last show where I said we were raised really Catholic, and she was like, "Oh, we weren't raised that Catholic." And I was like, "Well, you sang in the choir, you still sing in the choir, and the priest came around our house. Like that's, I think that's more Catholic than most."
Yes.
Yeah.
I was raised Catholic, but I just like tick the boxes. Like you know what I mean? Just like
Mine
first
was-
communion, confirmation,
Every Sunday I was there.
every Sunday. And then like
Sorry, how far back is the Irish? Do you have Irish?
my dad's side.
Right.
Yeah.
right, born in Ireland and then immigrated, or
Yeah.
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 So like pretty close. But like, so did you then like abandon the Catholicism for a bit, and now you've kind of like found it again, or have you just kind of always had a little?
I don't really know how I feel about it all, to be honest.
But
I think
I
it
thought-
was just I was sort of
Because I thought you were like quite into it now, or maybe I've been mistaken.
I wouldn't say I'm a Catholic,
Sure,
but I would say I'm probably not
atheist. Sure,
I think saying like I'm a Catholic, I don't subscribe to all of that, like all of it.
yeah.
I think it's more like
I mean, I'm right there with you with like I'm not an atheist. That is very important to me. Like the rest, I'll figure it out, but I don't want to be part of that dogma.
I'm keeping a lot of tabs open on my laptop. That's how I view it. I'm like, I'm not closing the tab yet. Not yet.
Yeah, just in case.
But it's funny because Catholicism is sort of there's a lot of Catholics in Australia, right?
I mean, I don't think we're a very religious country. You'd know better than me, Tom.
This great guy George Pell, who we're a big fan of him. He's a great Catholic. Yes, no, big Catholic population. Used to be definitely the spat upon minority in Australia. I think there's a big part of like a relationship, I guess probably Irish immigration as well, relationship to the police force and Catholicism, particularly in New South Wales, like basically entirely Catholic.
That's so interesting that's happened in so many places.
Yeah, Boston and
yeah. Someone once told me it was to do with controlling the gun. They said like in order to get power and respect,
right,
all the Irish became police officers in the US in like in New York and Boston, so they could control the narrative a bit and what happened on the streets.
Interesting.
But I don't know if that's real.
It's like, the signs in Australia saying, Nina, no Irish need apply for jobs and stuff.
Is that in Australia as well?
Yeah.
I don't think it travelled too well. I think we just needed people back then. It's just kind of like, honestly, there's like 27 people and 28 jobs. We need you. We don't mind. But no, I just found like the Catholic interesting because I guess like growing up in Brighton, that's very alternative. Like growing up like Catholic in Brighton, and then you've kind of like moved to London, and then you've kind of like gone back a little bit.
Well, I guess like the alternative thing in Brighton isn't. It's almost a tourist attraction because for the most part, where I was growing up, you would not. There was nothing particularly alternative. Certainly when I was growing up, it was like a place that you'd see everywhere, and then you'd go into town, and then maybe there'd be a bit more. There'd be more heroin around, or there'd be more artsy people, and there was like an arts festival stuff. But for the most part, it's still just a place.
There's some weird, like Byron Bay in Australia, which is like on the coast, beautiful part of the world, lots of celebrities. Yeah. I think a Hemsworth lives there or something. Like lots of famous
Insta mums.
Insta mums,
like
big there.
My fiance's like all on that. Like they all live in Byron Bay, and there's like 7 like Insta mums, and they just make cash. Yeah. They just make bank.
Jesus.
And it has an aura of like it has a perception that it's like a hippie town, it's alternative lifestyle, quite a few like unvaccinated kids there. But then underneath that, from the local population, like there's like quite a serious problem with certain drugs and like youth unemployment is a real problem, and it's always that weird kind of when a place is sold as cool hippie alternative lifestyle place. Same with Nimbin in Queensland as well. There's sometimes a bit of a dark underbelly going on where it's like, nah, some people actually can't.
Well, that was like
ends meet at this point.
That's the truth. I think Brighton is a bit of a lie, actually. I think a lot of it is. I think if you go there and you've got a good job, or you work in London, then you're fine. But if you don't, it's a tough.
Well, that was like
I feel like Alex Jones. Brighton is a lie, man.
It's a lie.
We're fucking taking it.
It's a lie.
Here, bro.
And your house isn't even that nice.
Please don't turn this into that. But no, my first impression with Brighton, because everyone's like, Brighton's really cool. Because like, I don't know if you've found this yet, but like in the UK, you talk to British people, they're like, Brighton's great. Like, if I lived anywhere else, I'd live in Brighton. Like wherever they're from, like Scottish people as well, just like anywhere across the UK. Yeah. And then the first time I was there, I was like, this is quite a grim place in terms of like the homelessness and like just kind of like this kind of undercurrent of like drugs. Like I think in any alternative place, there's like obviously got to be like quite a serious drug dealing network to sustain that.
Well, yeah, I think I guess it attracts a lot of the artists and a lot of the whatever that means.
Yeah,
and then they don't all get out alive.
Yeah.
I think it had the most registered heroin users in the country. That was a statistic when I was growing up, I think.
Yeah, that was like because everyone's like it's very like beautiful with the beach and like the houses and like, it's kind of like pastel kind of vibe. Like because it's kind of got a Santa Monica vibe. You been to Santa Monica?
Never been.
No. So it kind of got a bit of that. And like, but then like that's the same as like Venice Beach. Like Venice Beach is like a lot of homelessness. Yeah. Like it's very like heavy, like people living in their cars and shit. Then just like super wealth. Just the juxtaposition is pretty intense.
Yeah. It's still a good place. And it was a very nice place to grow up, I suppose, because there was always stuff. You definitely don't get bored there. When we were kids, we were like, we had cinemas and fucking
Yeah.
Heroin.
But like, yeah, I wouldn't go back, and I don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like home when I go there. Yeah.
Right. That's interesting. I mean, yeah, just like the way you're describing it, like kind of growing up next to like all this stuff that people kind of talk about, but like your experience is very different to that. That was like in Sydney. I grew up in like the suburbs.
Yeah.
But like Sydney.
That's where I would have been a bit out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, like Australia's like gay capital is like Sydney, and like as an adult, like you're just kind of like around that. Like I've been in like the Mardi Gras and shit, and like it's not like a big deal. Whereas I think other people are like, whoa, you've been in like the Mardi Gras? Like it's like, no, it's just a fun thing.
But I
Like,
guess
you know.
people are always like that. You know, people are always like, you know, we go back to Canada to visit my my wife's family. Actually, my girlfriend's family. She's still my girlfriend, the other one. And they were like, London, eh? Fuck, you fucking bitch! You can't stop eating fish and chips. You go, well, no, there's a bit more than that. That's not our experience.
There's a bit more nuance.
Yeah.
Actually, one thing I just when I was like just reading up on the Perry, like I know you, but I like to read anyway. Do you guys know that if you Google you, neither of you are the first person to come up, which I found very strange.
I'm surprised with you because you're a.
Well,
It's a mountaineer. Yes, a mountaineer named Tom Ballard who died earlier this year.
Oh,
Yeah.
but that's just that. In 6 months, you'll be back on.
Well, I should fucking hope so.
I was gonna ask, did the death
Back on tops.
hurdle you? Like, was the death what jumped him? Like above you in the ratings?
I think so. There was a few times, not that I've ever searched.
Do you
my
think it
own
was?
name.
Do you think it was a ploy from him?
I think
as
so.
As a like
I
a.
think he was sick of this
How did
comedian
he
bullshit
die?
getting
How
the
did he
headlines.
die?
My understanding is his mother was also a mountain climber. She died while climbing a mountain, and I believe, in a tribute to her, he climbed another mountain and also died during that. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't read enough.
Apparently, he was a really nice guy too. There's a lot of loving tributes to him, and yeah.
Didn't seem to.
You should
Learn.
call
Did
that.
make it hard to find feedback on my Edinburgh run, though, searching through Twitter. But you know, I guess swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's you? Who's the?
Oh, so many.
So
many.
No, the one that comes up first, you know, because I looked it
The
up.
YouTube gamer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like an
That was a
Irish-
heavy bit in my last Edinburgh show.
Right.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
I
this
thought-
YouTube. The biggest YouTube gamer.
Yeah.
His real name is Sean McLoughlin.
Sean McLoughlin.
And it's fucking up my life.
Better known as Jack Septiceye, an Irish YouTuber best known for his blogs. As of April 2019, his channel has 10 billion views.
What?
And 22 million subscribers.
Yeah.
You are fucked. Like,
Yeah,
there's
I'm
no way
fucked.
you're going to get that. Like,
Have you had
just
any
gotta
wash
wait
off
2
from
years. It's
Yeah,
fine.
Yeah. It's bad. It's bad.
Get him to climb
And-
a mountain.
And now he lives in Brighton. He bought a house in Brighton. I'm like, what the fuck do you want from me?
What does
That
he
is
play? Does he play
amazing.
everything? Or
He
is
just
it-
plays everything.
Oh my god.
And
He's in Brighton now. He's taking
And my
your life.
old agent is now his agent. It's so. Because I got offered a film meant for him last year. I got offered. Yeah. They sent my agent a script, and they said we're filming in Canada. We'll fly you out. We pay you this, and it was a big amount of money for 2 days filming. We'll fly you first class. You'll be wined and dined in Montreal. And we were like, well, let's do it. They go, when is it? They go, it's next week. So it's short. I was like, oh, it's fucking. I mean, the money. It's like,
Amazing.
And then 11th hour. Genuine. The quote was, "It appears we've been pursuing the wrong Sean McLoughlin." So,
Oh my goodness.
there's loads.
I get a lot of mountain climbing gigs too.
Yeah.
You gotta take 'em.
Yeah,
You gotta
gotta
ta- hey,
take
it's
'em.
there, man.
You gotta take 'em.
There's like, Tom, are you interested in being sponsored by this Carabiner company? Mountain climbing reference.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nailed it. No, wait. Sorry. Just like the famous Tom Ballard. Because in Australia, you had your TV show last year, and it got cancelled, which is what happens to every Australian TV show. It's impossible.
I'm on a tradition, yeah.
Yeah, it's impossible to get something up at the moment. I don't know why. Like, they're just like, no, we don't. But one thing that I wanted to talk about, you got in trouble for this, and I want to hear your reaction because maybe I've just been here too long. You called a member of parliament a cunt.
It was not a member of parliament. It was
on-
a candidate.
a
And it
candidate.
wasn't me. It was my co-host Greg Larson, and it was in the context of a comedic sketch.
And this is like on like the national broadcaster. Like this is like on
Okay.
the BBC being
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know who's a cunt? Like Nigel Farage.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
at like what 7 p.m. 7:30.
Yeah.
9:30.
9:30.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have the watershed as an idea in Australia?
Yes.
What's the watershed?
There's a moment afterwards where you can swear more and be a bit more adult. Is there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
What time you're on depends.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
9:30. Yes. And we'd used cunt before, I think, in different contexts at some
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Because I just like, I found it surprising that you were like allowed to, and I was not surprised by the blowback. Maybe I'm just like a pussy ass conservative now that I like live over here. But like, would you like what when's the MASH report on? 9:30?
Yeah.
Do you think Nish Kumar could? Well, not Nish Kumar, like fucking Jeff Norcott or whatever. Like just call someone a cunt, and then everyone would be like, that's fine.
I think you could. I think you'd be fine.
Really?
I think within reason.
I mean, look, people could look it up, and they could look at the sketch had a level of, there was a satirical heart of the sketch, which was it was about this certain electorate where this guy was running in the by-election that was being renamed because it was named Batman, which was named after a guy, an explorer, an early Melbourne was almost called Batmania after this guy, right? It's an early explorer.
That's a real missed opportunity, isn't it?
Annoying,
Batmania?
right?
Oh my god!
And there's
the merchandising.
He did horrible shit to Indigenous people, so people like we should rename this electorate because it's being named after a shitty guy.
Sure.
And Greg Larson plays the role of a guy from the Electoral Commission saying, "Okay, we found a compromise between these two things. We're going to rename the electorate. Batman was a cunt." Okay. Really funny idea that he goes through all the election posters and shows that this is what the posters would look like if they changed the electorate.
Yeah.
And the Conservative politician Kevin Bailey didn't have the electorate. It's still funny to me. Didn't have the electorate name on the poster, so he said, okay, so that would be more Kevin Bailey is a cunt, right? That's just the third beat of the sketch.
Yeah.
Then Greg broke character and said, look, Kevin Bailey, I was going to interview you for this sketch. We were going to make fun of the Greens candidate, and you said no. So that's what you get when you mess with me, right? So it's just like this petty, stupid joke. But of course, none of that context matters to the right-wing media. And yes, it was provocative, but that was sort of our whole sort of remit.
Yeah.
And I agree, it's remarkable. We were often surprised that we got stuff through to do on that show, but it's kind of the fucking point of...
I was just surprised that you're allowed to, like, mainly. I was just like, because I guess, like, I mainly feed off, like, US kind of media stuff. And, like, if it was just like, so Trevor Noah, like, we want to call this guy a cunt. They'd just be like, no. Like, absolutely not. I know that cunt obviously is very different, but I was curious, like, I really don't think it would be allowed here. Like, maybe that's just my, like, perception of British values.
I think it would be allowed, but the thing is, everything is going to be a fuss these days. It doesn't matter what you say, it's going to be a fuss. So whether it's allowed or not, if you say it, then it's a fuss. And if you're not allowed to say it, then that's... I mean, my instincts are that it seemed like a perfectly funny little joke. And,
we were allowed to do it. It went through our process. The Minister for Communications made an official complaint, which was referred to the Australian Communications and Media Authority, which released a 33-page report about the incident, which contained the word cunt 56 times. And it was all cleared because they were like, well, no, this is a joke and this is satire, and the show had clearly established a time that we were for a certain audience that said adult things. So we were allowed to do it in theory. But yeah, if you're judging it by whether right-wing media people would make a hoo-ha about it, then sure.
Yeah, were they like then referring to it as like the C-bomb or like the C word? How was it covered? How is it like outrage? It's tonight, Lise. Drop the C-bomb.
They would say C word. Yeah, they put C and put the dashes and stuff. And it's all just the same because we all know what the word is.
That's hilarious. You made a bunch of news networks say cunt for like a week.
Effectively, yeah.
I love that. C something something T.
Yeah.
Well, what are they calling it?
No. I just found that funny because I was like watching it from here, and I'm like, yeah, I guess you can't really call a guy a cunt on TV. But then I'm like, but I guess you can.
If you had called him something that wasn't that, like if it was
like
another
a shithead or something.
I don't know. I seem to recall on Have I Got News For You, which is a British sort of... I mean, I don't know. Are you aware of this show? It's like a British satire. It's not even that satire anymore. I seem to recall Paul Merton to camera saying he thought that Prince Philip killed Princess Diana in an episode. So I think he killed her. Yeah. And I thought, like, well, I mean, what's that if not?
Yeah.
But he got away with it. Maybe it's because he's an institution or whatever. But that seems far more dangerous than jokingly calling someone a cunt.
Like, I mean, like on Nevermind the Buzzcocks, Simon Amstel had that thing where, like, you know, Courtney Love killed Kurt Cobain and make it look like suicide, and they had little disclaimer underneath being like BBC, like Simon Amstel is definitely lying, like which I like, but I was surprised he was allowed to say that. It's amazing what you can get away with. Because like I
was watching a stand-up spot on Colbert the other day, and I think he said "God damn it," and they bleeped that out. They bleeped out "God damn it" or "Jesus Christ." They're now bleeped on. Yeah.
Well, America's like so weird on that. I still remember there's like a Patrice O'Neill thing for like Comedy Central, and they bleeped Buick. Like there was like the brand of car for like the Washington Sniper, and like that was just the funniest one.
Right.
And so they're just like they said that they had like the N word, and they didn't bleep that, and then they bleeped Buick.
Yeah, that'd
And
be
you're
some
like,
advertising
what?
thing.
Like, oh man, America's so nuts. Like their thing on cunt is like bizarre. Like, because when I've done gigs there, I haven't done gigs there, obviously, please still give me a visa. But like, like I would have to have a caveat after I said cunt. Like I would have to then be like, I'm Australian, I can say cunt, because when we say cunt, we mean cunts. You know what I mean? Which was like enough for them. Because like in their head, it's like a woman. Like it's like a slur for a woman. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre.
I'm going to do this. I tell that story about the cunt gates thing in this show, and I'm going to do a sort of showcase show in LA in a couple of weeks. I don't think I can do that bit.
Yeah. I mean, you might get away with it because it's like offensive, but I think most of them will just not believe you. Because like the idea of American TV, someone saying cunt is like so absurd. Like they would just be like, there's no possible way this story is a fabrication. Whereas when you're like telling it to me and stuff, I'm like, yeah, I can imagine a media report in Australia where they're just like cunt just like so many times. It's just like the intention of cunt was not as it's like just really taking it quite seriously. And what better indication of Australian culture is there than that? It's
The
beautiful.
best.
The best. All right, guys, we're almost done. I was just gonna say, I always ask this question, like, if you couldn't live in London, in the UK, where would you live? Or if it's like another country, like what would your second option be?
Where else would I live in the UK?
Well, it can be UK, it can be anywhere. What your number two? Your number two living location anywhere in the world, no visa issues. Like you're a white guy back in the day, you know?
I mean,
just fucking roll in anywhere and like, thank you so much, come on in.
broadly speaking, I would feel like I'm that these days. I've really hit the jackpot passport-wise. I would I love Canada. If I wasn't a comedian, I'd definitely live in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like a given.
Probably,
if you had, like, any other job.
Ottawa or Toronto or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
I'd say Montreal, but I don't speak French, so it might be tougher. But somewhere like that.
Cool.
I think so. But I like London.
Yeah, but you can't see yourself leaving London.
I can see it, but I mean, I don't know where.
You'll resist it strongly.
Oh, yeah. I don't really know.
You don't really know? Interesting. No. What about you, Tom? Like you're based in Melbourne, I guess, like officially. You got like a house there and stuff.
Based in Melbourne, yes, hoping to maybe move to this beautiful city next year, and I think that could totally work. I think it's a pretty cool place to live.
But like on a permanent?
Well, I've got this 2-year visa, so until that runs out, I guess, I'll give that a bit of a crack.
That's probably when the country will run out.
The last visa they ever issued.
Yeah.
Tom Ballard. The Mountaineer? No, the comedian.
He died. He couldn't get his medicine in.
Would you live... Here's just before we go.
Please.
Would you live... Have you been to the States before?
Yes.
US. You've been to like Los Angeles, New York. Would you live in America if you could?
100%.
Really?
Love it.
Okay.
I'm picking up everything they're putting down.
Yeah.
They
even the gun stuff and the healthcare stuff. And
the healthcare stuff is kind of freaky, but I've never been sick. Like I've just never, like genuinely, like I
I'm
don't.
good.
Well,
I don't have like a national insurance number here. Like I've never been to a GP. Like I just function on like white guilt and being slim. You know, it's fine. I really like the States. Like the like. The ambulance and like healthcare stuff in the States is like fucking terrifying. Like just you know, you like go to hospital for like 7 minutes and you get a bill for 10 grand and you're like, what? And like it's like can be the wrong hospital. Like getting Ubers when you're being like injured because like an ambulance is so like that is scary. But the gun thing, I don't know. Like because before I came here, I was like terrorism. Like, you know, that was like in my head because like in Australia, we're so far away from everything. Yeah. So you're just kind of like, London, that's where things blow up. Like, you know, like that's... it is, right?
Like careers, am I right?
Like you did a little gun sound. Nailed it. But you know, like genuinely, like that is like...
I think if you lived in New York or LA, guns aren't a major part of your life or wouldn't be a present threat in your world. LA
has the regular gun laws. Like, New York's a bit different, but LA, it's there. Like, it's on, like in the right areas. Right. But, yeah, I do. I really like Americans. Why is that? Like, I feel like I'm saying something controversial. They're great. They want to show you everything. They're just like, hey, man, have you seen how great this place is? Let me tell you about it.
America is wonderful. I think if you think about like living permanently or starting a family, you're in trouble. Unless you become John Oliver and
I mean,
if you're a multi-millionaire, then America will be lovely and
Yeah.
you'll be fine.
Jim Jeffries has a pretty sweet deal.
Yeah,
by
he's
the,
doing
by the
okay.
sounds of it. Yeah. But yeah, what about you, man? Would you live there?
I mean, New York to me is like the most magical place ever, and I love living there. And as an unattached, young comedian in his 30s, I think living there for a few years would be a dream. But I think if you're starting a family or thinking about a long-term thing, Australia really is a pretty extraordinary place to live.
Yeah, the family pool for Australia is like, you just kind of like, the one thing about having kids in Australia, you're just like, they'll survive. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the chances of them dying are like very low. Whereas, like, do you get that? Like, that's honestly in my head. I'm like, even if I'm quite lazy as a parent, like, they will be fine. Like,
is it like still the highest quality of life in the world in Australia? That's what they say.
I think technically it's like Iceland or some shit. Like,
Vienna,
Iceland's the safest place in the world.
The nicest. Vienna was number one, and then I think Sydney
The
was
city,
second.
most livable.
Yeah, that was it.
like 4 Australian cities in the top 10. Like, it's absurd. Canada's the same. Canada's like got 3, I think.
Yeah.
But like Iceland, I think is the safest place in the world, and then like Australia's like second. Yeah. And Iceland, like, everybody's related to everybody. Everybody's the same race. Like, that's just going to be a safe place. Like, what are they going to argue about? Like, what's even happening there? Seriously.
Yeah.
They've got apps for it. They've got apps.
Bordering on
they've got apps to
arguing
make
for
sure
an
you're not
ethno-state,
religious.
but
Look, I'm not arguing for it. I just see the benefits. That's all I'm saying.
It's Alex Jones again. Brighton is alive.
All right. Where can people find you? That's important. And the sign off, Tom Ballard. Where can people find you?
I'm on social media at Tom Z Ballard, and I have a podcast called Like I'm a 6-Year-Old, which is me talking to people about their politics, which people might enjoy if they like politics or me.
Awesome. I think they probably like both.
Shucks.
I'm just
thanks.
kidding. Nobody likes politics. Sean, where can people find you?
Twitter. Sean McLoughlin is my Twitter. And then,
that gamer guy.
Yeah. Genuinely, a dentist in Perth just gave it to me a few years ago.
Oh, that's nice.
I was so happy with it. He goes, look, people keep writing to me thinking I'm you. Just have it.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
I got 2 guys I got to track down on Instagram and Twitter. Like, I got Dan Muggleton.
Yeah.
But there's 2 Daniels. And like, one of them's like, yeah, I'll swap with you. And then I just never followed up.
Well, I'm really glad I got to change. And then it's Sean McLoughlin Comedian on Instagram.
Nice. All right. And the way we ended, like, I mean, it's less exciting because you guys are both like Commonwealth people, but you say cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Fucking crushed it. Tom Ballard, Sean McLoughlin, pleasure. Jerk off. See you next time. Cheers. The Union Jack Off with Daniel Muggleton.